Hey everyone, welcome to Wildlife Inspired. I'm your host, Scott Keys. This is your channel for photography, for wildlife, and for wildlife photography. And today, quick thoughts video. I'm gonna do a follow-up on a video that I already made around the exposure triangle, give you my feedback on that video. And then I'm also gonna give you a couple channel updates. So a real super quick video today, and I'll get to it right after this. So a couple weeks ago, I posted a video which I thought was pretty basic, turned out to be pretty polarizing. And I don't want to use the word controversial, but there was a lot of comments in there. I wanted to address some of these comments. Before I get to that, I also want to talk about some channel updates. So first of all, anytime I get a chance to thank you for your support, I want to do that. So thank you for your support. I have had very slow, steady growth throughout my career with everything. And the same continues on YouTube. So approaching 35,000 followers or subscribers, and I really, really do appreciate that. So thank you. I will send you a reminder to make sure you're subscribed to the channel. When I was reviewing my comments from that exposure triangle video, I noticed a lot of great comments and a lot of support. And then I noticed also not subscribed. So just a reminder, a lot of people think they're subscribed and they're not. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Updates to the channel. So I have been posting videos very consistently every Friday. I thought I'm going to alter that cadence just a little bit, and I'm going to add some videos. So on Fridays, you're going to get my product reviews, which again, thank you. Overwhelming support for the integrity of those reviews and people relying on those reviews to make purchases. Appreciate that. I'm going to do some photo basics, like how the camera works, how photography kind of works at a very basic level. That's why it's called photo basics, not photo overcomplicated. And I'll also do some improve your photography. And this might be some more like field type work or showing you a technique, things like that. More practical things for wildlife photographers. Now, I do a lot of that stuff over on my Patreon channel. So I don't really do the behind the scenes here. I do very little with editing on YouTube, but I do that over on my subscription site. If you do want to check that out, I'll plug that. Go ahead and take a look. Now, that's the updates to the channel. Thank you all very much. As you know, I retired from my full-time job. If you've been following the channel back in September or October, and I am doing photography full-time. YouTube is a part of that component. A lot of the year, I have plenty of time to do these 2 videos a week. On the second video a week, it'll be when I have these quick thoughts. These are reactionary videos. It could be a follow-up to another video, clarifying something, often current events. So if there's a topic out in the community, especially around wildlife, I may address it with these quick thoughts, 5 or 10 minutes. This will be the second video of the week. Not every week, but I'll put this out on Tuesday or Wednesday. And this will be my quick thoughts video. Very similar to this format. I put some bullet points up. I talk for 10 minutes. I give you my opinion. That's exactly what this is. Now, let's get into this video around the exposure triangle because I had an overwhelming number of positive comments, and then I had an overwhelming number, and I won't say negative, but just comments that either disagreed or maybe didn't feel like I was saying something accurate. So I want to clarify a few things about this video. First, the point of this video was that we have something called an exposure triangle, and it includes ISO as a variable of that triangle. And the entire point of that video was to say ISO is not a part of exposure, and therefore the triangle is named wrong. That's it. I at no point said that the variables are inconsequential, and at no point did I say ISO isn't relevant. At no point. So before you make comments on the videos, try to watch a little bit. Don't hit the enter button yet on the comment until you see the whole video. I think some people may have hit that button a little too early. I just suggested that ambient light is really part of exposure. However, we all know ambient light usually isn't controllable, or scene light. Somebody pointed that out too. So in this video, a lot of people said this is a matter of semantics. I was even called pedantic, which I thought it's kind of like antithetical to who I am. I try not to get overly technical. My philosophy in general is this: explain principles and explain the way things work without getting bogged down into details. However, you may say, well, isn't that what that whole exposure triangle video was about? I don't think so. A lot of people said this was just wording and semantics. It really is not. A couple people mentioned, one comment in particular said, for beginning photographers, we should continue to teach the exposure triangle as it is, and they'll figure it out later. And I thought, I disagree with that one. It's not semantics. If exposure is critical. I mean, exposure is one of the principles of photography. And if that's where we start by beginning, like if we start to teach what exposure is, shouldn't we teach what it is and what it is not? And if ISO is not part of exposure, should we be very clear about that from the beginning, from day one, and say, this is what it is? Now, that doesn't mean we don't teach it. It just means we have to use the correct language when possible, and we have to know what ISO does and does not do. Somebody pointed out, like, I'm on the ISO bandwagon. I want to put this out there too. The coffee kicked in this morning, so yeah, a little bit more animated. I want to point this out. I don't know what other YouTube channels do. So somebody said like, oh, you're on the ISO bandwagon or another ISO hater. No, I make videos that I think are pertinent, often in response to comments that I see here or what somebody talks about, current events, whatever. I follow no YouTube channels for wildlife. And there are two exceptions, I think, to that. I follow Steve Perry at Backcountry. I think he is excellent. And I don't, but I try, honestly, and this sounds bad, I try not to watch other people's videos. I want to be authentic. I want to have a channel that's a little bit different. I don't want to do the video that everybody else does, how to take sharper pictures all the time. Like, I'm just not into that. By the way, Steve doesn't do that. I'm using that as general terms why I don't follow others. I also follow Simon Detremont, who has, I think, the largest YouTube channel out here. He's also a friend. And a true story, the first time I did a YouTube interview, that's how this channel started. I started with somebody else. We did interviews. They turned it over to me, and I just took over the interviews, and I started doing interviews. I believe Simon was the very first or second person that I had on this channel. So I'm going to take some very inconsequential and very small part of his success, which has absolutely nothing to do with me, but it is worth trivia noting that this is, I think, one of Simon's first YouTube appearances on a wildlife YouTube channel. I do follow him as well. I have a video, by the way, that I'm going to make, one of these quick thoughts videos around YouTube and just how brutal it can be. I had a really brutal experience. It actually involves Simon. So I'll tell that story one day in one of these quick thoughts videos. So I do not think these are semantics. I certainly don't think it's pedantic. And I think it is very important for beginning photographers to know this. Now, I want to address some of the other comments that were out there. A lot of people, by the way, super supportive, and I think they understood the point of the video. And I said it once. I feel like I have to say it like 3 times so people understand this. It's just a badly named triangle. Just leave it at that, okay? It probably should have never been named the exposure triangle from the beginning. And I think that's kind of what started this. It is commonly accepted. I will tell you this. If I have a conversation with somebody about the exposure triangle, and they use the term exposure triangle, I'm not like that guy that's going to correct them. I understand what they mean. I often use this term, and they understand what I mean. I wish we could go back in time 30 years and fix it from the beginning, but it is commonly accepted. I just don't think technically speaking, it is the right way to talk about exposure. So I also wanted to mention one more comment because these comments make me, this is kind of a follow-up on some of the comments that were made. Then I get this. So in addition to being like nitpicky about this video and overly focused on the word exposure, which again, I think it's very valid that we figure out what exposure is and is not. I get this comment. I'm going to put it up here so you can read it. So this person says, in the exposure triangle video, based around kind of like basic photography, and sometimes beginners or people that follow me in wildlife but want to know a little bit more. By the way, that's kind of my audience. I mentioned I don't make videos to follow up on common themes or what other people are doing. I watch very few channels. I mentioned that. But a lot of the people that follow wildlife photographers don't get a deeper understanding of photography, which is why I started Photo Basics. It's not that nobody's made these videos. There's probably 10,000 videos on exposure and shutter speed and aperture. I make them because a lot of people following wildlife don't watch them. So it just is an outlet for me to say on a very simplistic level, these are the themes. Again, all my videos are around understanding concepts and themes, not getting bogged down into the details. If I mention details, I'll say, here's the details if you want to know about it. Here's the formula. You don't have to know it. Then this person so that's my my target, right? Easy to understand, common concepts. This person says in the exposure triangle video, this cracked me up. This is what I should have included. Now, if you think my wildlife photography friends who have a basic understanding of photography, or even an advanced understanding of photography, but certainly a beginner, you think that's pertinent to the exposure triangle? That I'm gonna put that in my videos. There is no chance in the world you are gonna see this. I'll highlight the area that really made me look. You think there's any chance I'm gonna put that in one of my videos? You're wrong. You don't understand my channel. My channel tries to take concepts and make them relatable. I call myself the practical wildlife photographer all the time because if I do something, I try to show you an example of what it actually looks like. So stay tuned to the channel. I have a series coming up on shutter speeds. I think you're gonna find this one really, really interesting. I'm talking about shutter speed at the sensor level, motion and shutter speed. I've got a really great video coming up with my Patreon community where we did a challenge. I do these challenges over there, and we did some slow shutter work. You're gonna really, really like that series. And again, just a reminder, a lot of people think they're subscribed to the channel, so take a minute, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications, and then it never hurts to like a video. So if you like my opinion pieces, you like these quick thoughts videos, hit that like button. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching. Thanks for being a part of the community. And as always, I hope we can continue to find inspiration in wildlife together.